Hinterland Education Development, Technical and Vocational Training, Literacy Enhancement. Education is on the move. On Education Spotlight, we look at developments within the education sector and how Guyanese can take advantage of the opportunities available. Hello and welcome to another episode of Education Spotlight. This week, we're going to be focusing on the Special Education Need Unit at the Ministry of Education. And with me is the National SEN Coordinator, Ms. Sabby Hopkinson, who will be telling us all about it and how persons can benefit from its services. Ms. Hopkinson, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, I want to get straight into it. Can you please give us a background on the SEN unit?
The Special Education Needs Unit is part of the Ministry of Education. It was established to provide support for students who would have learning challenges or who would need additional support in their learning. The unit is a supportive arm of the ministry, and some of the services provide addresses the deficiencies or some of those salient issues which are not addressed generally. It gives guidance in terms of education policy and every child having access to equal educational opportunities despite the disparities. And you said services. Can you go a little bit more in depth of what type of services the unit offers? So some of what the Special Education Needs Unit has been doing over the years, we provide targeted professional development training for teachers in the area of special needs. Some of these trainings we would have engaged with are teaching methodologies, and we know that is very broad, but methodologies that would address the way children learn. As we know that every child could learn and children learn differently. So if we help teachers with using research and evidence-based practices to provide methodologies or deliver education in different ways, every child can benefit, even those who don't learn at a fast pace. We would also provide initial education assessments. That is, when teachers discover that a child is not typical developing and they're not grasping their curriculum goals, that they need answers to some of those myriad questions. So referrals would be made to our unit, and we would conduct educational assessments at the initial stages where we would do random activities and test more or less to discover what children can do, where they are in their development or their education, to be able to find answers and provide support for teachers in telling them what can be done to help a student in need.
Ms. Hopkinson, there's a stigma attached to special education need. Can we discuss that a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, so can you explain to us, I mean, you said that some kids wouldn't learn as fast as the others, but can you go a little bit more in depth with that for us?
By now we know that in every classroom, children perform differently. They function differently. Their developmental stages will not be the same. But when we discover that whatever is happening is affecting their learning, then we have to be able to provide, information, research, evidence-based practices, and support so that we can help to overcome some of those challenges or provide mechanisms or coping mechanisms in place so that those children too can achieve their curriculum goals.
You mentioned that the unit was set up back in 2009. What progress has it made since then?
Well, from the establishment in 2009, now we would have trained an increased number of teachers. Before, teachers would access training if they were, let us say, those teachers who are in Georgetown or would have access. Now we go out to every region. So far for this year, we would have trained 706 teachers, and that's for regions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and Georgetown. later in this year, we'll provide training for Region 8. So there's more access to the services or training that we provide. And these trainings are targeted depending on what we discover when officers do school visits, or information we're given when children would have been getting their diagnosis processes, or information provided by teachers. So once those discoveries are made, we target the training to address those.
Okay. So most of the information comes from teachers who have these students in their
Yes,
classroom.
because teachers are the ones who are in direct observation with children daily in the classroom. So they are best positioned to provide that information.
What are the other avenues? Like if a parent wants to access the services for their child, but the child isn't in school, what happens then?
Okay, so we would have discovered many children in the past, if they have a physical limitation or they have learning disabilities, they may not have been accessing education for many reasons. One of those would be stigmatization. Before, we would not see many children who have disabilities. Now you see them more in public. Part of the reason there is because now we have more information out. We would have increased our sensitization over the years. Parents have become much more comfortable. Access has been provided in schools that are in their clusters or in close proximity. So we don't have to get a special school in a particular region. For example, you would know that in some of our regions, we don't have special schools, like regions 1, 2. Well, 2 will get a special school in the latter part of this year, region 8 and 9. But children can access schooling in the mainstream setting. We're not encouraging building buildings so we can isolate children, but in the same existing mainstream environment that the support can be provided within those settings. So there's more access because of information, teachers having information, and the entire school population being prepared to deal with situations like this and be inclusive in their approach. Children, parents would feel much more comfortable having their children access education.
Okay, before we go, Ms. Hopkinson, sorry for messing up your name. I know you would have just disclosed that in the latter part of this year, Region 2 will be getting a school. Can you tell us what other plans are in the pipelines for the unit?
So we do much more in their other plans. So we have community outreaches, and these outreaches are to, give information and to help parents, because if you have a child with special needs, we want to help you on how you can help your child. So we would have meetings, we would have forums, symposiums based on different areas like autism, parental involvement, helping you on how to help your child, encouraging them to let their children access the education services, providing teaching learning resources where the children are in whichever special schools. And this year, 15 SEND spaces would have benefited from resources that we provide. In terms of the assessments, when we discover children needing referral, we would provide that support and advice, and sometimes the assessments lead towards placement in school if they're not in school, or placement in a special needs environment if the support is greater and they will not be able to function within the mainstream. Or the referral may also lead to, referring them for diagnosis processes.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Hopkinson. This has been Education Spotlight. Thanks for watching, and remember to join us again next week for another edition. Goodbye.